What is going on, everybody? Technical difficulties over here. PTZ camera is not working. My name is Brett. It is episode 799 of Pop Culture Crisis. Yes, that is right, guys. Tomorrow is episode 800. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. We are, in fact, 60 seconds late today, but it doesn't matter because tomorrow we're going to be a whole hour early for episode 800, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern.
An hour extra of content tomorrow, and you're complaining about 1 minute today. Plus, we go over the allotted time regularly. So, you know what, guys? Hold your horses.
Give us your official review of the Fluffernutter.
I don't think I added enough fluff.
No?
It was kind of mid.
You didn't commit to the fluff?
It was like there wasn't enough. I think I'm gonna make another one tonight.
Basically a peanut butter.
So and then the other funny thing was like I made it in like 8 seconds and threw it together and posted a picture of it, and people were like judging it. They're like, "Why couldn't you line the bread up?" I'm like, "Bro,
it needs to be equal parts fluff to nut."
And then other people were saying it didn't have. I used regular peanut butter rather than chunky peanut butter, therefore it was a fail.
Oh, I didn't know that was a rule.
That's a rule, apparently. So I was, people were not a fan of my sandwich. I said I will never call it that, by the way. I see Olivia's in the chat.
That's the official name of it. You have your mind in the gutter if you can't call a Fluffernutter what it is.
And the,
something's wrong with you, actually.
Probably. 100%. And I apparently it wasn't good enough. I feel like if it had been really, really good, I would have been talking with a Boston accent today.
It's a Bostonian cuisine?
It's a Massachusetts thing.
Since when?
I
never knew that.
I mean, I remember hearing that from somebody ages ago.
They like say it with a Boston accent?
I guess, yeah.
But what would that sound like?
I wouldn't deign to do a Boston impression. Yeah. It's a ska. But yeah, it was fine for a late night thing. Still probably more carbs than I should be eating. At current.
It's literally all of that.
It's literally all carbs. So my body, since like switching to more fruits rather than candy, it's like your body, like whenever you get off sugar, right? So when I quit soda, my body immediately started craving like regular candy, which I never craved before ever. It's like my body was like, because you're so used to the sugar, it like craves it elsewhere and just becomes like a sidestep to another aspect of sugar. But it's been going well, and better to eat like actual fruit than processed shit. So doing my best with that. So guys, we have a bunch of stuff to get into today, but I do want to remind everyone once again, tomorrow will be episode 800 of PCC. That is correct, guys. That's 800 episodes. We started here. We weren't even live when this show started. We were just pre-recording the whole show, putting out segments and putting out the audio version. We have come a long way since then, and we hope you guys will join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a rotation of people coming in to say hi. We've kind of just accepted that we're going to have segments, but if everyone is engaging and we're getting a lot of interaction with everyone, a lot of those might go down the drain. So if you want to, feel free to interrupt every segment tomorrow. As you guys know, all Super Chats, $20 and over. We are happy for you to interrupt our segments and make them harder to do.
If the other anniversary episodes are anything to go off of, I doubt that much productivity is going to happen tomorrow, which is fine. Yeah, it's just going to be a fun show.
We don't want
nothing
productivity.
Serious.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, but hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel, guys. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Remember to share the video out with your friends and your family and your loved ones, everyone that you know. The more people that you share the show with, the live streams, the segments, the faster that channels like this can grow. So thank you guys so much for that. So what are we getting into today? Well, it feels like a lifetime ago that we talked about the case of Jonathan Majors, his inevitable downfall as he was charged with reckless assault and various other crimes due to an incident with his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. It caused him to lose his role as Kang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he had a downfall of sorts. Well, now it seems that he is making a comeback with a movie that's getting Oscar buzz, and Jonathan and Michael B. Jordan says that he wants to bring him back for Creed 4. They got other statements from other actors that he's worked with who have spoke out on his behalf. It seems that Hollywood wants to give Jonathan Majors a second chance, and just as that was about to happen, leaked audio came out from an incident in 2022 that's putting a little bit of a damper on that. So we are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about a brand new fat shaming trend, which is why we put in the poll today, ladies and gentlemen, Ozempic, yay or nay, or in this case, pro or anti.
Yeah, I feel like it's mostly anti, but some people have super chatted before saying that they use Ozempic. So it could be a split poll. That's what I like to do, is start a little bit of a debate.
Ray V in the chat says, fourth Creed? Really? Look, he said he's talked about it. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but those Creed films were good. Way better than they should have had any right to be, given that not all of them were done by Stallone. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about a brand new trend that's going on social media. Are you a lady? Are you in your soft girl era? Well, I have the trend for you. It's called being a stay-at-home girlfriend. It's all the fun of being a stay-at-home mom without the
responsibility.
But you can't take half his money.
ring.
But you can't take half his money, I guess. When everybody gets what they want in this society full of non-committal people and emotional distance.
Yeah. These women are losers.
We got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready to go, we just go. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's get into it.
All right, it looks like the results are not yet in for Snow White's box office, but if ticket purchases are anything to go off of so far, it is not looking good. I just purchased our tickets to see the earliest possible screening of this movie together.
And I wept.
We are going to suffer through it. I insisted, and we're going to review it for you guys. But I just took a look, it had a completely empty theater. We had our pick of whatever seats we wanted because nobody else has reserved a seat at our theater. That is actually what most people are seeing now that they're looking at tickets online. Almost all of these theaters are completely empty. No one is seated to see this movie yet.
So one thing you guys don't know is, like, oftentimes when we would go review movies, Olivia would come with us. And I asked her today, I was like, look, I know you're working, but is it possible maybe do you want to switch shifts to another day and come with us? And there was just a little bit of glee in her voice when she realized that she didn't have to go see Snow White.
It could be a really bonding experience for you.
I mean, so when she first...
Guys, if you're trying to put your relationship to the test, go see Snow White
together. The first thing that we saw together...
See if you can suffer together.
The first thing we saw together was the Mean Girls musical, and she'll never forgive me for that.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. She'll never forgive me for that.
Does she like the...
She likes the original. Like, she still brings that up sometimes. She's like, remember when I came out here and the first thing we went and saw was the Mean Girl musical? I'm like, yeah, sorry about that.
Well, that was also my fault. But, I mean, it was worth it for the rage bait, you know? I'm glad that we did that.
It's okay.
But Chrissy Mayer posted a screenshot of her local theater, completely empty so far. She said, Saturday night, a 7:30 p.m. showing, 0 tickets sold. Snow White is dead on arrival. And then it was followed up by other people starting this trend and seeing the same exact thing. No seats reserved at any of these Friday night showings.
No, so most of these are Thursday nights that they're checking.
Well, to be fair to Chrissy Mayer, that was a Saturday night one.
But the rest of the ones we have here, they were checking the Thursday night showings. Now, look.
But even for an early screening on a Thursday night, you should at least see maybe half.
Yeah.
Or even one person has reserved, like no one. I swear, I looked at a completely empty theater.
So the other day when I did that whole debacle where I got the tickets for Black Bag, I refunded them, and then I got the tickets for Novocaine and I refunded them. I went back to look at the tickets for Black Bag again because we were going to go tonight and try to use vouchers.
Yeah.
Still no seats.
Really?
Sold. The same 2 that were sold in the middle of the theater were the only ones that were sold there.
Because usually if you're using a credit, you're going to get the last seats available, which means they're going to suck.
Yeah.
But most of these theaters are completely empty. It's crickets.
Bro, I will eat the cost rather than sit
you
in the middle
walk
of that.
in to see Snow White. You're not even early, and they're like tumbleweeds passing by inside the
theater. I'm picturing like did you ever see like the Santa Claus, where the original Santa Claus with Tim Allen, and they're at like a Denny's on Thanksgiving, and it's really sad, and the kid's like, can I have some chocolate milk? And she's like, we're out. And she's like, regular milk's fine. Like, that's gonna be the attitude of all the people that end up going to see it. There's gonna be like sad children with in their Snow White outfits with their wand, and they're gonna be like, Fine.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of news surrounding this movie. We're going to get into more of it later in the week because what Disney is doing right now is they're going into overdrive, trying to pretend like all the stuff that was said at the start of 2022 never happened. One of the things I find interesting is that it kind of brings two of my beliefs about this industry into question, which is one, are people terminally online and what actors say matters? Or two, are they not terminally online and nobody cares what actors say anyways? Because we go back and forth about this. Like, do I really believe that the average everyday person who's going to go see a movie cares whether Rachel Zegler said stuff about the original So White? No,
that's not why this is happening.
Why do you think it's happening?
Rachel Zegler being annoying is not the reason why Snow White showings are failing to sell tickets. They're failing to sell tickets because Disney is failing and no one cares about this in a positive way. The only people who care about Snow White are the ones who care about hating it. They haven't worked to cultivate any positive goodwill around this movie when they had the chance to, and now it is too late.
It's so weird. It's
so yeah, she didn't do them any favors. Yeah. That's for certain. But her takes didn't need to tank this, and I don't think that Rachel Zegler's viral clips have anything to do with the fact that people aren't buying tickets. It's not a mass boycott. It's an apathy that we're seeing. It's not a negative thing that people are thinking about. Like, I was going to go see Snow White, but now I'm boycotting it because Rachel Zegler said this and that. It's not a boycott. It's just that no one cares.
There was, Disney has an issue with consistency right now that's going to continue to plague them. So when Captain America Brave New World came out, theoretically, I say theoretically, they should have been operating with the goodwill that was built up from Deadpool and Wolverine, and it brought it crashing to a halt. I read an article today that said, if you think Disney shills are bad, Marvel Disney shills are even worse. It said, Brave New World passes Black Widow as the 31st highest grossing Marvel movie of all time, 31 of 35. But the point is like, they should build momentum with multiple good movies at a time. They just had billion-dollar movies with Moana 2 and Inside Out. And now, theoretically, there should be more goodwill going into these films. But because Captain America Brave New World was another one that was stuck in production hell for ages, Snow White is a movie that was stuck in production hell for ages. Now, the strike had a lot to do with that as well. They're not going to benefit much if they can't have like consistent hits in a row. Like Mufasa had a weak opening, but went on to gross, what was it, over $700 million? Theoretically, this movie should have an audience there, but it does not look, opening weekend projections don't indicate that. These graphs from these people don't indicate that, and it proves to you just how tenuous. They might not have even realized how lucky they were to be getting hit after hit after hit after hit after hit for years on end. Like the Marvel formula being what it was, that golden area they were in between phase 2 and phase 3 where every movie made nearly $1 billion. That's not going to be the reality of the world anymore. And it wasn't just Chrissy Mayer. Mexican Iron Man also posted his, and that looks like 3 screenings that he put up here, none of which have anything available there.
All on Thursday, to be fair.
And
but then
same with Overlord DVD. His was for Thursday as well. And then this one here was from, he reposted it. It says, I've never in my life seen anything like this. Snow White opening Saturday, IMAX, prime time for families, is one of the busiest movie theaters in the entire DC metro area. I go to this theater all the time. I've literally never seen anything like this. It's completely empty.
It's like gigantic IMAX showing.
Remember, there was a time where people believed that during, Captain Marvel's run that they thought that Disney was buying tickets because people were going in. It made $1 billion, but they were looking in on screenings and there was nobody there. I don't know about that, but I do know that if I was Disney, I would bake it into the marketing budget to just start buying tickets to at least the big city ones. Or actually, no, the rural ones where there's less people likely to go anyways, and leave the big city ones just in case people actually go. Because I feel like you'd have a better time getting people in the city to go see this than people outside of the city.
Well, haven't they done that already?
Bought tickets?
In the past?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if that can be proven. Like,
they were accused of doing that in the instance of which movie?
Well, Captain Marvel.
Was it Captain Marvel only, or were there other examples?
I don't remember. Somebody in the chat might remember if there were others. The other thing about it is
They've
like, what was it? Like, I remember Brie Larson, like, sent a link to a GoFundMe that was like to buy tickets to go see her movie. And then people were mad at her because they're like, why couldn't
Was
she just...
she doing that as some kind of meta joke?
No, I think it was just like trying to get the word out there about it, but it looks bad because she could just like...
What?
Like she could just donate money to the GoFundMe, but she like shared the link instead.
Oh, it was somebody else?
Yes, it was another GoFundMe. It wasn't her GoFundMe. It was somebody else's GoFundMe.
Somebody started a GoFundMe.
Does anybody remember that?
Wait, I'm sorry. Someone started a GoFundMe to afford tickets to see Captain Marvel?
It was like for a group to get for like tickets for a whole group. Let me see if I can find stuff about that. Captain Marvel.
So all you would need in that year would be like $100. You're telling me they started a GoFundMe with a goal of like $100?
Brie Larson, hold on, here it is. Brie Larson, the star of Captain Marvel, inspired a successful GoFundMe campaign called #Captain Marvel Challenge to raise money and send girls to see the movie.
What?
Yes.
To what? Donate tickets? To donate them?
So I'm pulling it up here. It says Brie Larson sparks a GoFundMe campaign to help girls see Captain Marvel because girls need help. Mary, girls can't afford movie tickets. On Twitter, a clearly cool teacher told Brie Larson that she had showed the Captain Marvel trailer to her students and created a classroom full of young female fans. Larson responded by writing that she thought a Captain Marvel challenge was in order. The hashtag-driven campaign stemmed from a GoFundMe campaign drive featured last year from Frederick Joseph that ended up raising $50,000 to send kids to see Black Panther at the movie theater. So this was like their version of that. The Black Panther Challenge in turn sparked a global movement that raised nearly $1 million to send tens of thousands of kids all around the world to Wakanda for the comfort of their theater seat. So maybe what we need to do right now, guys, if you do like Rachel Zegler and you want to see Rachel Zegler get Snow White 2 Electric Boogaloo, they'll make it. They made Mufasa, right? If you want to see the Snow White sequel, what you're going to have to do is hashtag Rachel Zegler Challenge, and you're going to have to start a GoFundMe to send kids to see Snow White.
Yeah. Yikes! I had no idea. I love
this.
Happened.
This is nice to me because these are controversies from before I YouTubed. So these were like when I was watching YouTube. So it's like a weird throwback.
That's so embarrassing.
It's the hashtag Snow White Challenge.
Brie Larson was posting that as if she's some kind of philanthropist.
Yes.
Like having young girls watch Captain Marvel is going to change their lives.
Of course. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they said about Black Panther. It's going to change your lives.
Wow. And I know that when little girls watch Rachel Zegler as Snow White, they're going to realize that love is meaningless and that no man is ever going to save them. And that's actually an uplifting message.
Yes, I'm with a word on the word. Go fund the Gongo. Yes.
I'd rather fund the Gongo than the Captain Marvel project.
Okay. All right, let us move on.
We have a couple of
Oh, yes. Hold on. We got the videos, right? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Rachel Zegler told everyone how meaningful it is to play Snow White.
Yes. So do we want to show the photo bomb?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go, guys.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, guys! How are you? I like your shirt. Can I see? How beautiful. Is that me?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Look at you. You look so beautiful. Hi, honey. Do you want to come say hi? Hi. Can I have a hug? Oh, thank you so much.
So you said that that's awkward. Is that really that bad?
No. I rewatched it.
You said it was pretty bad.
It's fine. I was only half watching it the first time. I was a victim of my own not paying attention. It was fine.
And then at one of the allegedly empty screenings, she gave her speech.
You have to like check your own bias at the door, where it's like I'm already rolling my eyes.
I'm just against the fact that she's wearing a pantsuit.
Yes.
She's literally a Disney princess, and they put her in a pantsuit.
She's auditioning to play a villain next.
No, she's auditioning to play like AOC. Why would you put a Disney princess in a pantsuit at a promotional event?
That's a good point.
Why would you do that?
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. This is a movie that is so close to my heart. I auditioned for this movie when I was 19 years old, and I am about to turn 24. So it's a really big chunk of my life, and about 5 out of the 7 years of my career, which is crazy. I love everybody in this movie so dearly. Coming to the end of this road of the release feels really crazy, because when you spend so much time with something, it becomes such a big part of you.
But there was like such a big gap between when it was initially filmed and then the strike, and then
I know, and I would be mad about it if I were her.
That way for me, and to see this is really emotional for me, so I'm going to try to not do that. I love her, and I'm so glad to see that so many of you love her as well. Her superpower is her heart. It's nothing supernatural. It's something that all of us have. And deep within us, there is
by the power of friendship,
inherent good and a belief in the kindness of humanity. I hope that you walk away.
Actually, right there, if you want to wonder why artists in the mainstream space tend to clash with conservative types, there's actually kind of an answer to it there about the idea of inherent good versus a pragmatic view of the world and self-interest that I actually have a hard time usually putting to words as to why actors and people in the conservative space, because there's a lot of discussions about why conservatives don't invest more in art. And I think a lot of it has to do with just vastly different worldviews. And right here, I think kind of speaks to that, how she sees the world. Whether she actually believes what she's saying, I don't know.
Film, understanding what the true meaning of fair is. I really, really hope that for the world as well. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your Snow White. It means the world to me. Thank you. I hope you enjoy Snow White. Thank you guys.
You know what they're like? They're like, can we get Ariana Grande? She cries.
Yeah.
They're like, what we need is Ariana Grande.
You know,
actually, they should have just gotten Ariana Grande to play Snow White.
No, they should not.
They should have just done that.
That would be a terrible idea.
They should have just gotten Ariana Grande.
She looks disturbing.
I mean, she probably didn't look like that when this movie was filmed, though.
Yeah, she looked like a different race when this movie was being filmed.
Yeah, but that was like
so we would have Snow White even browner. Actually, we'd have self tan instead of Snow White.
Yeah. Thoughts
on this?
Yes. I didn't really think of it as fake with her with the kids. I just thought it was like, maybe I don't know how much time she spends around kids and she just doesn't know how to behave.
You know, they should have just sent Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler on a Wicked-esque press tour where they were fondling each other and crying.
I mean, they would have to like each other to do that.
That would have at least gotten the theater kids to show up for this movie.
Say what you want
about... That would have
at
least gotten the musical theater freaks to show up. Not because this obviously doesn't really appeal to kids these days.
Say what you want about...
like, Gen Alpha doesn't care about Snow White.
Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, at least they did seem to like each other.
Maybe a little too much.
A little bit too much.
But I'm just saying, put your acting skills to the test.
I mean, I don't know.
If you cannot get children to care about this movie, get adult theater freaks to like it.
Yeah. What was the last?
That's your next best bet.
What was the last movie that kids really was Inside Out 2? The last movie
was a big
kids,
one.
But was that kids or was that adults who grew up with the first one or liked the first one?
There are
both.
no
It was families,
because the first Inside Out came out in
9 years,
like 2014,
before.
right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't even really translate the same way.
Yeah. Well, guys, we'll have to wait and see. We will give you our unbiased review on. I guess we'll. Are we gonna do it live or are we just gonna record it beforehand and then post it?
We'll review it on Friday.
I'm saying, but are we gonna do it on the show?
Yeah, we should.
Okay. All right.
I mean, everybody in the chat is telling us, like, we're not seeing this movie. I don't think you really care whether we spoil it for you. And the story is a fake version of the story anyway.
All right.
So there's nothing to be spoiled.
Let us move on then.
Emma Watson has spoken about her refusal to do sex scenes and do drugs in movies and television after her role as a child star in Harry Potter playing Hermione. She doesn't feel the need to go through some kind of public bad girl phase to escape being seen as that character and known in that innocent light. So I found this interesting. It resurfaces every once in a while because it poses such a contrast to the way that other child stars have done their career trajectory. Mm-hmm. They tend to have a preoccupation with defying expectations and subverting tradition and coming up with a new edgy persona once they have a coming of age moment. And for Emma Watson, it doesn't seem like that was ever necessary for her. She actually ended up playing Belle in Beauty and the Beast. Mm. So she stayed in that kid-friendly or family-friendly sort of brand image and never left it. Mm-hmm. She doesn't seem to be working all that often these days.
She did Bling Ring. That's the closest she got.
But even that was like more so for a young adult audience. Mm-hmm. And she never did anything like a sex scene or drugs in a movie or a TV show.
Not, at least not any that I've seen, but I've only ever seen her in Harry Potter and Bling Ring. So.
I don't think even violence. No violence either.
The maybe part of it is because, like, I think of Harry Potter as big of an IP as it was, as less of a machine than Disney. And the focus was on the material itself for them, meaning the books, whereas Disney stars are both their characters as well as young stars. Does that make sense to what I'm saying here? Which is like you're very clear in you're playing a young adult, or I guess who's an example of somebody other than Miley Cyrus that went through this? Sabrina Carpenter?
She is another example of someone
like they
who
start
off
playing someone where I guess the idea is like there's something considered to be inherently innocent about playing a Disney character, whereas I don't feel like there's necessarily something inherently innocent about playing a Harry Potter character, not in the same way.
But the audience was almost entirely children, so it has to be.
For Harry Potter?
Yeah.
I mean, when the movies come out, when does the first one come out? 2000?
When the books and movies came out, the audience was children.
I mean,
now the audience is made up of those children that grew up and like going to Universal Studios and drinking butterbeer. But back then, it was an audience of children.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was around my age, so I don't remember what year the first movie came out. Would it have been 2001? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'd have been in I
believe so.
Right before high school. So, yeah. Why do you think it is? Why do you think she felt that way? I see it as connected to the actual structural machine of Disney as opposed to just being in a movie series. Like nobody's like I have to break free from Warner Brothers.
Maybe from J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
Like in that case, you just do so by saying trans rights are human rights. You've broken free of J.K. Rowling.
True. Well, this is from an interview that she did with The Times in 2023, I believe. She made it clear she does not want to portray characters who are involved in drug use or who appear nude on screen. Quote, I'm not going to get my kid off or snort cocaine in a film just to leave Hermione behind. I'm not going to do something shocking because I'm so paranoid or insecure that I can't play another role convincingly. I don't want everyone to forget me as Hermione. I'm really proud of her. But then in a different interview later on, she shared a different view when it came to nudity in films. She explained that while she has her own personal limits in that regard, she would consider doing a nude scene if it were essential to the storyline.
Literally exactly what I said to you yesterday
she said,
about reading that.
I've been saying since I was 16 that if it's an interesting character and important for the character development and, of course, important to the story, then I'll do it because I'm an actress and that's it, really.
It's exactly what I said yesterday. All this means is it opens it up to when she finally does it. She's like, oh, I wasn't going to, but it was just such a powerful story. Yeah. It was such a powerful moment. I can literally feel the self importance dripping from each word as the artist says this.
Well, I will never believe for a second that a character being naked on camera is necessary for the story or character development. You can actually include in the story that they are naked in that scene without even showing anything. It accomplishes the same exact thing, except without being needlessly pornographic. I'm not sure if Daniel Radcliffe or Rupert Grint ever did this, though. I feel like people would know if they did.
Rupert Grint went on to do some TV and not pay his taxes. Respect. Just kidding. I don't think it was that he didn't pay his taxes. I think like he got something wrong and then like got sent a bill by the government. Still,
we never had to learn.
I'm gonna have to add him to my list of tax heroes. Daniel Radcliffe went on to be like a passable movie star.
Well, what has he been in?
Literally, all I can think of is Guns Akimbo.
He does vanity projects.
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't do big movies.
Yeah.
And you said he's more into stage plays.
I think he does a lot of theater.
Yeah. But you don't really hear about
a lot of people still
any
want
of the
him,
three of them that often
A lot of them still want him to be Wolverine because he's on the shorter side.
What are the objections to that?
I've never really heard strong objections other than maybe that he's not
just that he's not as tough.
He'd have to bulk up.
Yeah, he's not as like masculine looking as Hugh Jackman. So
I was watching I apologize. It's an aside. I was watching a video yesterday, like a retrospective, comparing all of the on-screen versions of Frank Castle the Punisher, from the Dolph Lundgren version all the way up to the John Bernthal one, and they were kind of comparing like who made the best version of the Punisher, and he came down between John Bernthal's Punisher and Ray Stevenson's Punisher, and he kind of gave the edge to Stevenson, goes because Stevenson just isn't pretty. Like, he looks like he would be a dude whose family was murdered and he thinks about nothing but punishing evil every day. There's like a death behind his eyes and a wearing to his face where Bernthal doesn't really have that.
That's not true. John Bernthal isn't a pretty boy.
Literally, he goes, sure, his nose looks broken, but he's still too pretty for this role.
What?
Yeah.
I never thought that about John Bernthal.
And there is and there is just a weatheredness to older actors. Like I said, I watched several Gene Hackman movies lately. It's not like he looks in his later years like the traditionally handsome actor. I think he was considered a traditionally handsome actor when he was younger. I don't know. But in general, actors from generations past looked as if they lived in that time period. Whereas now, it was like when they were doing the casting for Prey. Do you guys remember the Hulu Predator movie Prey? And none of the people in the movie looked like they roughed it in the wilderness or grew up without the amenities of modern technology. They had no muscle mask. They have no muscle mask. They have no nothing. There was a weathered look to people of the past that just isn't there today. Mm-hmm. That benefits a certain type of actor, but it hurts a certain type of actor as well.
Well, I think that when it comes to child stars, including these three from Harry Potter, you have identity issues. It's like baked into the job that you're going to have identity issues as a result of what you do for a living.
Yeah. And
you were saddled with those literally against your will. Like, they didn't have a choice in the matter because they were children. So
like, they could have gone on to do other things, but that's all. Like, and actually, they might have been in a better position than most given the royalties involved. Like, if they wanted to live a life away from the camera, they could have.
Well,
not all of them are going to end up like Lavender Brown doing OnlyFans for hair.
But I think that the reason a lot of former child stars, maybe not Emma Watson herself, but you could say most, have this tendency to go to the extreme other end of degeneracy and go through a bad phase or whatever. Yeah, they need to prove a point that you can't box me in. You can't see me as this character I played forever. I can forge my own identity and go against the grain of what you expect from me. So they have identity issues just from the outset. And I even think about that in regard to Amanda Bynes, who had to play hundreds of characters. She wasn't just playing one character. Yeah. She had a show where the entire point was that she had like an endless different selection of personalities to put on from 1 minute to the next. And there's no way that that doesn't fracture you mentally at such a young age where your neuroplasticity is so high.
Perhaps. Speaking of identity issues, that's like a trope in movies that I don't really see a lot anymore. I feel like society, at least here in America, where everybody just wants to be able to make enough money to like take care of their family now. There's a trope of like the dad wants the son to go into the family business and the son's like, no, I'm going to forge my own path. Like now everyone's like, oh man, I'm a job I'm just like put into.
They can only dream of
Like,
that now.
let's go.
Yeah.
Like I watch a lot of old TV shows where that's the trope, where the son doesn't want to, like, I'm not my father, I want to be my own person. Now they're just like, I want the job security.
It's literally like the character in Dead Poet Society that wants to be an actor and his dad doesn't support his dreams.
Well, I mean, that's a real thing too. Like I said, Michael Weatherly, the actor, like his dad was like wealthy enough where he had like a will and like wealth, and he's like, if you go into acting, you're out. And that's
Fair
either
enough.
really stupid or you bet on yourself hardcore and knew you were going to succeed. He's like, I'm a tall, good-looking white dude in the 90s. I am going to be fine.
It was a different era.
It was a very different era. So for Emma Watson, again, I have no internal logic behind this, but I feel like pushing back against the Warner Brothers system is not even considered the same thing as pushing back against the Disney system. Like it's its own thing. It's like I was having a conversation with once. He's like, I can ask my girlfriend to make me anything to eat and she'll make it unless it's a sandwich, because there's a stigma around making a sandwich.
Not even a fluffernutter. But it's like any actor, like they don't need to grow out of it and have a bad girl phase if they didn't grow up in the Disney or the Nickelodeon system. Like, did Elle Fanning or Dakota Fanning have to have bad girl phases? Yeah, that's different.
It's not the same.
It's funny that Miley Cyrus needed to twerk in front of everyone to rebel against Disney, and then all Emma Watson needed to do in order to rebel and be her own person was like go to college. Like she just took an acting hiatus and then studied at Oxford.
A lot of
That's all she did.
What was it? If I remember correctly, the guy who played Neville Longbottom, dorky Neville Longbottom, went on to be like an MMA fighter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he wasn't fucking around.
Well, Lavender Brown could take some notes from Emma Watson's career if she has a chance of still...
She did go to college, and then now she's got to pay off those loans.
Right, because she majored in literature or something.
Well, I mean,
creative writing.
No, she went for creative writing.
No, Emma Watson did, but Emma Watson is Emma Watson.
Yes.
When you played Lavender Brown and you majored in English Lit or in creative writing.
What the hell happened to Luna Lovegood? What did Luna Lovegood end up doing?
I know she was one of the former stars who ended up supporting J.K. Rowling.
Yes, correct.
One of many.
It was one of the rare examples of the kids supporting J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
I think the real winner was Draco Malfoy, because I think Tom Felton had like a combined like 19 minutes of screen time in like the whole movie and made just a ton of money to just be an absurd prick the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was good. He ended
jelly.
up somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I was gonna make a post the other day. There was a show in like 2014 on TNT called Murder in the First, starring Taye Diggs and Kathleen Robertson, and I think he played like the villain in the first season of that, which was like kind of like a tech bro back in 2014 with like he was like cheating on his wife and then somebody got murdered or something like that. But I remember seeing that, like, that was his version of growing up. I'm not Draco Malfoy anymore.
Look at me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about an actual former Disney star.
Let's do that.
Why don't we? At a recent concert, Sabrina Carpenter tore a page straight out of the Kama Sutra and gave her child fans a lesson. She is known for doing provocative stunts on stage at her concerts, and specifically during her performance of this song called Juno, she is known for striking a pose. It is always a sexual pose. She is overtly sexual in her costuming, her poses, her song lyrics. Everything about her brand image is overtly sexualized. I just think that in this most recent example, it's a sign that we've jumped the shark. Like, you're trying way too hard to be edgy and subversive, and it's just coming off at this point as quite embarrassing. And you're also doing this knowingly for an audience of mainly children. Yeah. And mainly young girls. I know there are plenty of adult women who go to Sabrina Carpenter shows. I'm not saying it's exclusively children in the audience, but most of her fans are, I would say, teenage girls, like underage teenage girls.
Listen to the decibels of the screams when she makes her move.
That will tell you a lot. And they're usually girls who grew up watching her on the Disney Channel when she was starring in Girl Meets World, the Boy Meets World spinoff.
How old would those kids be now? They was going to be 14 now, would they?
If they were children, when they were watching her show.
When did that go off the air?
Mid 2010s. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But they would be teenagers now, is my point. Okay. I was actually older than the audience. I am older than the audience that watched her show on Disney. So it's safe to assume they are teenagers right now. And I think it's creepy that she insists on doing this. But I think it's really a symptom of coming off of the Disney factory line that she is obsessed with sexualizing herself and objectifying herself.
I mean, it would have gone well into our previous topic.
Yes, exactly. Well, the pose that she struck at her recent show in Paris was an ode, of course, to the Eiffel Tower.
Here.
As you can see in this video. With her backup dancers, they recreate the Eiffel Tower. There's a very obvious reference that she is trying to make to whoever in the audience will understand it.
Here's the poster. It says, "What was the lyric that required this move?" It's literally the meme. It's just like there's not there. Dave Matthews doesn't sing any song that makes this necessary, but she does.
Sabrina Carpenter does in fact have incredibly sexually explicit lyrics. Not that they're all as graphic as like WAP. But most of her songs have some kind of sexual connotation or implication at the very least. And if they don't, the way that she performs them on stage is very sexualized. She wears lingerie and they have this bedroom set and they do, sexual innuendos through the shadows that are cast on the stage.
When did TMZ include comments?
What do you mean?
I've never seen comments on TMZ's page before. Am I just losing my mind?
I don't know. One said, "What you do when you have no actual talent." Another one said, "She's pretty disgusting. I don't understand why anyone would be impressed by this. It's not like it takes any kind of talent." So they're basically saying she's not relying on her voice and her songwriting content to bring in an audience. She's relying on sex appeal. The strange thing about it, though, is that her audience is not predominantly male, not even close. It is mostly female, and they are the ones who are screaming and losing their minds for this, because I think they're almost living vicariously through her, which is even more embarrassing. And it's just coming off as, it's one note. Like, other people have done this already. You can do something original, but... we've seen Madonna do the same thing, and we've seen Cher do the same thing, and it's been so many decades at this point that this has been played out. You could try something different.
The counter argument would be, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And these or these businesses, these record labels don't invest money to try stuff. They invest money to make money back. So unfortunately, what we're talking about here is investing money in what is basically degeneracy to make money.
Well, I think what I'm sick of really is that it's these same women who hammer home all of these points about choice feminism, and if a woman chooses to do something, that's what makes it empowering.
Yeah.
When that sentiment has already fallen out of fashion, and if you criticize Sabrina Carpenter or any other woman in the public eye for doing something similar, you're seen as the villain. You're seen as the one who's dragging other women down.
That argument
when in reality it is her.
That argument doesn't even hold up to scrutiny, because when they use that argument when it comes to porn, they're talking about OnlyFans being empowering somehow because they don't have a male boss that's telling them what to do, when anybody who's has half a brain cell understands that you're still paying the company OnlyFans 30% or whatever the percentage they take of everything you make.
If something's free, you're the product.
You're the product. So at every corner, there's somebody who's exploiting you in some way, shape, or form. I guess it's just a difference of they can't be physically exploited by them if it's through OnlyFans theoretically, because it's a third-party app and it's not somebody in person making you do something. But that's doing a whole bunch of mental gymnastics to justify it. I would have more respect for just having a blanket understanding and no problem with them doing it than saying it's okay, but only under these circumstances. Like, to me, that's even worse.
But people just cast this in such a fake deep light where they're like, actually, this is Sabrina Carpenter's like self-expression and like art, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing artistic about what we're seeing here. It is a woman simulating sex acts on stage. It is a glorified stripper. She's also a product herself, owned by a record label. She didn't come up with all of this herself. She had a failing music career for many years prior to the Short and Sweet tour, which is what launched her, basically. She was a complete nobody, really, compared to what she is now for most of her music career up until very recently. And then when she rebranded, here's all you need to know. When she rebranded herself as this little, like, Polly Pocket blow-up doll, Dolly Parton, whatever, like, when she came up with this new personality, that's when her career finally took off. Before that, she was a total flop. That is all you need to know.
I mean, I figured it would be.
She couldn't have relied on her music alone.
I thought it was when she went on tour with Taylor Swift that
was already after she rebranded herself, though. So, like, she needed to rebrand into this little, like, pin-up, Polly Pocket, blow-up doll, like, sexualized persona in order to launch her career for real. Because prior to that, no one cared about her at all. It was not working for her post-Disney. She left the Disney pipeline, wasn't able to make it work on her own personality and her own talent, and so she had to curate a new look and a new brand, and this is the one that finally caught. That's what I'm trying to point out. It wasn't on her own merit that this happened for her.
Well, the other road is a lot harder work. Like, there's only one Lana Del Rey, and there's only one Taylor Swift. And in the realm of pop music, the one who sexualizes themselves less has a harder road to go down.
It's funny. The least you can say about Chappell Roan, even though, you know, she is vocally talented, she leaned into this look that she has, this like weird drag inspired Lady Gaga for Gen Z type of
that's her
look.
She has the face for it, though. If Sabrina Carpenter tried to do that, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. But she's like leaning into that, and it resonates with her audience, which admittedly is a smaller audience than the one Sabrina has
and vastly different.
But the people will still be dedicated to that. Like, you can find a more niche audience for that. And I respect that she stuck to her guns, and she waited just as long, if not longer, than Sabrina did for her big break moment, which happened at about the same time.
I think they're both cringy.
Well, this reminds me of a clip from one of my favorite shows, 30 Rock. And this is how it feels every time that I call out this behavior in women.
30 Rock is an underrated masterpiece.
It really
everybody
is.
Should go back and watch. Here we go.
It really is.
So you can drop the sexy baby act and lose the pigtails.
But I like my pigtails. My uncle says they're sexy.
Enough with the gross jokes and that voice.
I like Tina Fey really did do incredible work.
Oh, yeah.
On this show.
I love her.
It's not to be understated.
I hope she takes over SNL.
I want you to talk in your real voice.
This is my real voice. And the whole sexy baby thing isn't an act. I'm a very sexy baby.
So you
Like, just for Sabrina Carpenter or like any of these people, just admit that that's an act, though. Like, you don't need to make everyone think that that's who you are.
Unfortunately, that that is a form of logic that's antithetical to the business.
I guess
can't
so.
like Taylor Swift can't be like, I'm actually a ruthless businesswoman that loves to take advantage of the competition, box everyone out, hold the records or hold the top 10 hostage. She can't do that. It's not her image.
That's what I was saying. I think off camera, off the show, I was saying Taylor Swift 100% feels a superior attitude toward other female pop stars because she didn't have to sexualize herself to get as successful as she is. Like, she definitely holds that over someone like a Sabrina Carpenter, even though she would never say it out loud. I 100% believe Taylor Swift holds herself in higher esteem than those other pop stars for that reason.
Tina Fey taking over Saturday Night Live would be one of those great examples where I don't think anybody would look at that and be like, that's DEI.
Oh, yeah.
They would be like,
Yes.
that is 110% earned and makes 110% perfect sense.
I agree.
Mean Girls reboot notwithstanding.
Well, I like to believe that she didn't have a clue what the Gen Z audience was looking for in that. Like, I think she's just out of touch with what those specific demographics are into.
Yeah.
She thought, like, oh, I'm gonna like make it funny for them, when in reality, like, the Gen Zers liked the original Mean Girls anyway.
There's got to be somebody who can make a movie that kind of leans into the isolationist tendencies and the problems of Gen Z and make it funny. It's got to be doable, right?
In the same way that a Mean Girls did.
Yeah. Like, there's got to be a way to do it. Maybe not Mean Girls, but like a teen comedy for Gen Z. It would be very hard to take something so depressing and make it funny. But a lot of people who are depressed in high school can still watch movies that play on the tropes of high school and laugh.
That would be an incredibly difficult task, but I would like to see someone try.
Big
we have a
super chat
$50
there. Thank
super
you for
chat
that.
from Badump Bash. Just woke up. Can you start over?
We just did. Just now.
Yeah, as far as you're concerned, we just started the show. We were waiting for you this whole time.
I don't think that, if I'm being completely honest, I don't hold Chappell Roan in any higher regard than Sabrina Carpenter. I don't.
But you are a bigger fan.
Yes.
You like her personality more.
I don't care about her music. I just think she's funnier. But
Yeah.
I don't hold her. Like, I don't
She's
look
more
at,
interesting.
I don't look at her persona and think that is somehow more meaningful or valiant or even artistic. I find it all to be very so over the top if it's just a bit annoying. So,
But as far as her personality,
yes.
I think that her personality is more authentic.
Do I believe for a second that if she looked like Sabrina Carpenter, she wouldn't also take that route? I don't know. She likely would have a different sense of self-esteem and a different sense of self-worth and a completely different personality based on what she looked like. So I guess you just go to war with the army you've got.
It's impossible to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's start with cringe because this is a two-parter cringe.
Okay. All right. So we'll just do both of them first. Here we go, guys. First one
You
here.
have never seen anything like this.
All right. For those who are listening, it looks like a gentleman doing his makeup, and it says, "Who is this diva?" Oh gosh, here we go.
Get ready with me for football tryouts. Okay, I'm going out for linebacker. I'm not nervous at all because I know I'm gonna make the team. Like, I literally carried the team last year. And yeah, I am the #1 recruit in the nation. I have, like, I don't know, like 55 offers. I don't know, it could be worse, could be better. Like, I'll take it. Some people are like, oh my god, I would never expect you to play football. Well,
Now,
like,
if he had said quarterback or running back,
Oh, just wait for it.
I do. Make sure to go follow my Instagram for my highlights and my reels. I'm one of the bigger people on the team, so yeah, I carry the line. I think we're gonna be really good this year because, once again, I'm back. But I'm, like, not cocky like some of the other guys on my team. Like, I know I'm the best, but, like, I would never say that aloud or to, like, a TikTok. But, like, I'm really, really good. Like, really good. I have never gotten hurt. Knock on wood. I have never gotten hurt. Knock on wood. I probably just jinxed it, but people are, like, sort of scared of me that they, like, run off the field. It's kind of weird, actually. Anyway, guys, wish my teammates luck. I don't need any luck because I know I've got this. Bye.
You get the big reveal in the next one. He made the team.
Here we go.
Get ready with me for my football game. You must be thinking, Hudson, why are you not in uniform yet? We're supposed to show up in the theme for the game as our pregame, and then we're going to eat our pregame meal, and then it's go time. Tonight, I'm starting linebacker as usual, but they might transfer me over to quarterback halfway through the game. And yeah, so I'm going in theme for pregame dinner. The theme is obviously Hawaiian, if you can't tell. My opponents are quaking, shaking, everything. All right, I'm just...
If he wanted it to be more authentic, he would have mentioned the name of the opposing team, which I'm guessing is like from a Pee-wee league.
I'm going to do some bronzer. I'm going to swap most of it off. But I'm not nervous at all. I'm hoping to get a few more offers tonight. 55 isn't enough. You guys don't understand the grind. I had my pregame unibrow shave, so I'm going to make sure that we cover that redness up because we are going to have an issue. All right, let's powder the face.
Thank you. Oh no. What was that?
I don't know why that camera's on. Everything's wrong today.
Brett, it's a weird day.
It is a weird day. If they had made the movie Little Giants today, this would be a character in Little Giants.
I'm just imagining this is your get ready with me for a hockey game.
Yeah, let's not.
Just some finishing touches. Bye, guys.
Can't forget the setting spray. And the nuclear cringe peace sign at the end.
Yeah.
Look, we just don't understand his grind. He said that. We don't understand his grind at all.
It's Team Zesty.
Clearly, it's beyond you.
Yes. Look, if he had said kicker, maybe.
Oh, no, he's quarterback. He's quarterback. If you don't believe that, like, I don't know what to tell you.
All right, let's
We still have cute of the day.
We still got cute of the day. All right, hold on, please, guys. This one's from...
You're acting like you're his father.
Oh, man. Cheese wants to be Mochi's friend. She ain't having it.
I love the name Mochi. That's so cute.
That's what we call Mocha.
Mochi?
We call Mocha Mochi.
Mocha and Mochi are two very different things.
You'll have to take that up with Olivia. Mocha is also Mochi.
I love Mochi ice cream.
Mochi is definitely...
I don't know which one is which.
Wait,
but
I would assume this was Mochi.
Ears.
It says, clearly this has to be Mochi, because this is the one that looks like it's not having it.
The other one's cheese.
I guess so.
Love Cheese's ears.
All right.
Those are cute.
All right, let's get started.
Yes. Back in 2023, it seemed like Jonathan Majors' career was on the brink, and Marvel cut ties with him. He lost his role as Kang in the MCU as a result of an alleged abuse incident between himself and now ex-girlfriend Grace Jabari. They ended up going to trial after his March 2023 arrest, and he was then found guilty on charge of third-degree assault and 1 count of second-degree harassment, but was acquitted of 2 other accounts of assault and aggravated harassment. But it was before the conclusion of this trial altogether that Disney cut ties with him. They didn't wait for a verdict to come out. And a lot of people said that that was unfair. But my perspective, actually, is if you're on surveillance footage acting ratchet in any way that causes controversy for your studio, this movie studio, you cannot really blame them for hedging their bets and playing it safe, especially while the MCU is already in such dire straits. They can't afford to be putting up with your ratchet behavior.
I don't think for a second that they cared. I think they wanted to change courses anyways.
Yeah.
And this just gave them the excuse.
It gave them the perfect
I don't
out.
think it had anything to do with the allegations. Look, there's
I think it was a combination of
every
things.
time they do stuff for WandaVision or for the character of Vision, Paul Bettany's texts with Johnny Depp come back up relating to Amber Heard, and Marvel just does this. What? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Just
know.
conveniently ignore certain things.
Boom, they're phantoms. They just disappear.
Yeah. Well, the difference here is that this one incident between Jonathan Majors and Grace Jabari was captured on surveillance footage. And that's the reason why it was the focus of the trial. There were other alleged abuse incidents that were not as cut and dry on camera. And then I recall surveillance footage getting reposted everywhere on social media. You can see that there's some kind of tussle between them because they were getting into an Uber. He was kind of manhandling her, but you couldn't tell who was aggressing against who. And then afterwards, right afterwards, she is going after him on the street, running after him.
It's literally out of a cartoon. Like,
Yeah.
You could hear the cartoon music playing. I'm
Yeah.
with in the chat. Who is it here? Says Majors and Army Hammer goated. Yeah, they should have a podcast called The Army Majors. And they can talk about their cancellations from Hollywood.
Yeah, well, it was rumored that Jonathan Majors
A
was
band called
about to make a comeback in Hollywood, and then with this most recent development, it seems like a huge wrench has been thrown in his plans. Rolling Stone just released a leaked audio. We have no idea who leaked it or where they got it, but they obtained this leaked audio allegedly recorded by his ex, Grace Jabari, in which you can hear him admitting to abusing her. You can hear him admit that he strangled her. And that's not even the focus of what they were talking about in the trial. This is from a separate incident altogether.
I love that they uploaded it to SoundCloud.
Yeah.
There are going to be rap remixes any day now.
This is going to be the intro to somebody's diss track.
I'm ashamed. I've never wrestled with a woman before. Again, it's just, I've never aggressed, like,
You strangled me.
By the way, that sound right there is probably her like trying to like surreptitiously make the phone look not like she's like moving it around so it doesn't look like she's recording him. All right, let's continue.
yeah, all those things are under aggressed.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's never happened to me. So I'm
Because I said something sarcastically, if in your eyes.
clearly it's more than that.
Yeah.
Clearly that.
Something inside of you.
Yeah, towards you.
Should we listen to it again?
So they put a transcript for
yes, it's
the recording here. Majors says, "I'm ashamed I've ever," and then cuts himself off. "I've never been aggressive with a woman before. I've never aggressed a woman. I aggressed you." She said, "You strangled me and pushed me against the car." He said, "Yes, all those things are under aggressed. Yeah. That's never happened to me." He's saying this is the first time I've done something like this, basically. And she's asking him why. She's asking, "Because I said something sarcastically in your eyes?" And he said, "Well, clearly it's more than that." And she said back, "Something inside of you." And he said, "Yeah, towards you." And then the recording ends. But Rolling Stone went into more detail about what this might be discussing. So a judge barred any previous instances of alleged physical abuse from the 2023 trial. They were only allowed to discuss in the trial the aftermath of a fight between them in September 2022, not the fight itself. That was allowed to be mentioned in court. And you can see in text screenshots from the time Jonathan Majors was pleading with Grace Jabari not to go to the hospital afterwards for injuries and threatened to commit suicide over it. He was basically saying, if you go to the hospital, they're going to be asking you a bunch of incriminating questions and they might investigate me. I can't handle this. And you need to stick by me, essentially, by either lying or not seeking like medical help at all.
because that's what Coretta Scott King would do.
That's what
apparently.
Michelle Obama would have done. Okay.
Well, I mean, does anybody really believe that Barack Obama could beat up Michelle Obama?
No.
Press X to doubt.
No. Claims by two of Jonathan Majors' ex-girlfriends who alleged that he emotionally and or physically abused them during relationships with him were also blocked from being shared at the trial. One of the ex-girlfriends, an actress Emma Duncan, claimed that Jonathan Majors had once choked her and in another argument threatened to strangle and kill her. Jonathan Majors' attorney claims that that never happened, of course. But when Grace Jabari sued Jonathan Majors last March 2024, for defamation, assault, and battery and malicious prosecution, the complaint gave her full account of the September 2022 fight. So that's the recording that you just heard is in the aftermath of what happened between them in September 2022, which was not allowed to be discussed in the trial. They say the prolonged fight allegedly began when Jonathan Majors became upset with Grace Jabari for going to a pub with a friend and having the friend back over to their house. They leave that gender neutral. I'm assuming they're referring to a male friend that she went out with one night and brought back, according to evidence presented at trial and Jabari's civil complaint against Jonathan Majors. The fighting continued between them over the next few days, with Jonathan Majors admitting in a separate audio recording played at the trial that he had a temper and expected Grace Jabari to hold herself to the standards of Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama in order to support him. Right, because you're even like half as relevant, or ever will be, compared to Barack Obama and Martin Luther King. Are you serious, dude? Like, this guy just seems delusional.
I remember that saying.
His ego.
Shoot for the Shoot for the moon, so that way even if you miss, you'll land somewhere in the stars.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying.
But here's the crux of the issue. On September 20th, 2022, the situation, according to Grace Jabari, escalated.
Yep.
When Jonathan Majors, quote, became physically aggressive and pushed Grace Jabari so hard that it bruised her, she attempted to leave the house, but Jonathan Majors allegedly picked her up in the air and threw her against the hood of her car.
Yeah.
Grace began shouting for help, according to her lawsuit. Jonathan Majors forcefully grabbed her, placed her in a headlock, and put his hand over her mouth to prevent someone from hearing her cries for help. He brought Grace back into their house and held his hands around her neck, stating that he wanted to kill her and that he was going to kill her. Majors then started hitting Grace's head against the marble floor while strangling her until she felt she could no longer breathe. He later texted with her and pleaded with her not to go to the hospital, saying, "I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions, and I don't think you can actually protect us. It could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie, and they suspect something." That part of the text message, I think, is the most incriminating part, where he said, they might investigate, even if you lie. He's saying, if you lie on my behalf, if you make it seem like nothing bad happened, if you lie. That's a very clear admission of guilt here.
It's more faith than I feel like most people have in the system, where they feel like people who are abused every day and lie to protect their spouses just slip through the cracks and nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
The other thing was that he was sentenced to a batterer's batterer's intervention program, which he's since completing.
Yeah.
So the thing is after all of that, a lot of celebrities came out in support of him. Whoopi Goldberg, who had worked with both Majors and his Coretta Scott King of a fiancée, Megan Good, told The Hollywood Reporter, by the way, he is married now to Megan Good. He was arrested. He went to court. He did what he was supposed to do. I'm not sure what else there is. Michael B. Jordan, who starred with him alongside Majors in Creed 3, expressed his desire to continue collaborating with him, telling The Hollywood Reporter, "I would love to make Creed 4 together, among other projects." Matthew McConaughey, who starred alongside Majors in White Boy Rick, also vouched for the actor. I've known him as someone who is continuously striving to improve as a human, a man, and an actor. He said, "I believe in him." There was another one who said, says, you don't get to say sorry these days, said Whoopi Goldberg.
Look, I'm just going to say what I think is the obvious here. A white man could not get away with this in Hollywood.
Guys, in the list...
He's getting excuses made for him because he's black. People are making excuses for him because he's black.
I'd have to make some lists.
And all of these notions that people have about how unfair the criminal justice system is towards black men and how he, police oppression, whatever. I mean, people are just defending him because he's black. It's true.
It's I was thinking to remember when we talked about the Nickelodeon stuff and we were talking about James Marsden, who came to the defense of
Brian Peck.
Brian Peck.
Yeah.
One
of many.
And I was wondering whether that would tank his career. It has not.
No.
Sonic 3 did very, very well. He was just played the president in Paradise. His career is thriving. So, that's Hollywood being Hollywood.
Right. Yeah. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, that specifically is more egregious because that has to do with the abuse of a child. But
these things
this
in
is different.
particular, like, I don't even know why I should care about the opinion of somebody who wasn't in a relationship with them. When women that dated Johnny Depp give their testimony and say he was never abusive with me, that's one thing. But it's like, so you worked with him. Like, unless he's the most insane person ever, he's not going to abuse a coworker the same way that he was clearly trying to get away with.
Nobody's going to know about it. But
not that it's only, it's not connected, but this is still the craziest headline I've seen in like I saw this today.
Yeah.
An actor named Gabriel Olds, who's on trial. He's accused of 7 sexual assaults. His exes are lining up to defend him, saying, "What could you possibly? How could he be guilty? It was the best sex I ever had." Yeah. I take that with less of a grain of salt than just coworkers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's make a hypothetical situation for a second. Brett, if you had knowledge that hear me out. Mm-hmm. If you had knowledge that I was brutally abusing a man that I'm in a relationship with, how would you feel about working with me?
I wouldn't think much of it.
You just go on day to day like nothing was
knowledge
wrong.
I saw it happen.
Like you knew. We're saying this in this hypothetical, you know that this is happening. And that wouldn't at least give you the slightest pause about working with me?
It would give me pause.
So I'm just saying it's not unfair for people potentially working with Jonathan Majors to reconsider based on the way that he conducts himself in his private life.
For the
record, I don't do that.
As intrusive as Hollywood is about, everybody supposedly needing to do the right thing, most of them will look the other way because first of all, they're working with hundreds of people at a time. And if they took a stand on every, where does it stop then? Is it only the coworker? If grip number 2 is abusing his girlfriend, does the guy quit the job? Because I'm serious. Like where does the line stop for that?
It's of less concern.
There is a live and let live personality to Americans that is pretty all encompassing for a lot of people. They're like, look, I don't know. I have no idea. He never acted that way with me. Mm-hmm. What do I know? I don't know if it's true, and a lot of them are going to be like, "What if I say something? What if I get sued? What if what if this happens? What if it ends up not being true?" Most people, they don't have the bandwidth for that. They go to work, they do their job. What that person does in their private life, they're only going to be annoyed if it screws up the work.
Well,
because they're not as virtuous as they claim.
I just think it's egregious because that if Jonathan Majors were white, he wouldn't be getting all of these excuses made for him.
I mean, especially in a Marvel role. I guess. Guys, what are some of the other controversies around Marvel actors? There are more than a few of them. But somebody can leave us a comment down below about what some of those were, because there's plenty of them. But like I said, the Paul Bettany texts to Robert Downey Jr. about Amber Heard come up every time he gets brought up in Marvel stuff. So
let's read some super chats.
Do it. Oh, and I do want to, before we do that, it was the guy who plays Goyle in Harry Potter that went on to be an MMA fighter, not Neville.
Okay.
I had to look that up. Somebody in the chat said it wasn't Neville, and I was like, okay, I gotta go figure it out. Because I was like,
Real American
I knew it was at least one person that did it, but it wasn't Neville.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Taco Tuesday, Brett and Mary. Today is the day we learn the truth. It was Mary Morgan with Mr. Fluffykins on the grassy knoll."
Is that true?
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
That you killed JFK. apparently.
Oh.
Because aren't those JFK files coming out today? Did we send out a bunch of people with binders to get them?
Yeah, I can't wait. How exciting.
I'm going to hold up my binder.
We're going to find out everything. We're going to find out the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Admit
we got
to
him.
nothing. Isaac Cervantes III said, can I put my $12K on a credit card to come and, I don't know, turn on the computers at the studio? What even do you do? Point cameras, turn on the things, pop a top. I want to learn.
We don't do anything. We just show up here at 2:59 and go.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
No prep.
Oh, Ezra Miller. That was another actor that you could ask. Like, all the people in the movie, are they supposed to be like, I quit because Ezra Miller threw a chair at a woman? Like, where
that dude does stuff like toward kids. Like, that's
but again,
even
but
worse.
nobody held it against those actors for doing the job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's like, you're a bad person because you went and did this for work.
Well, maybe it's not about how other people feel. It's about how they feel.
I mean, that would be a better way to approach your life. Like, whether you can sleep at night.
Deep South EDC said, I hope Young Guns 3 doesn't end up a Snow White. LOL.
Say that again. Say that again.
I hope Young Guns 3 doesn't end up a Snow White.
I haven't even read into it yet.
And then Shazam is the real Captain Marvel.
Yes, Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact.
All right.
I'm sure that bothers DC every day.
We are back in the skinny era. Everyone is talking about how heroin chic is coming back and everyone's on Ozempic. A new TikTok trend using a chubby filter is showing you the alternate version of you if you were obese. And a lot of fat activists and body positivity advocates are seeing this become popular, and they are outraged by it, understandably so. It's showing that all of the cultural change that they were fighting for all these years was for nothing. It all just comes toppling down the second that we find this magic cure for obesity. And I'm seeing a lot of pushback for it. So let's take a look at first of all, this activist, or rather, we'll look at the first example of the trend. So you can see this thin woman posted a version of herself in real life, and then you see the chubby filter show you what she would look like if she were fat. AI is powerful. And there's the fat version of her.
I need to make one of this where I do the filter and it's just the same picture.
And this person who posted it is unhappy. There's this new trend on TikTok where skinny girls use a filter to become chubby and laugh at the results, and everyone else laughs, and it's so funny. And we definitely aren't spiraling back down to pro-Anna death to fats era that damages every young woman.
What was it called?
What?
Say that last part again.
We definitely aren't spiraling back down to pro-Anna death to fats era.
What? Anna, explain that.
Anorexia.
Oh, okay.
They're saying this is promoting anorexia.
Okay.
Even though the woman who is thin in the photo is not underweight or even close to that. Here's a fat activist next reacting to this trend.
So there's a trend on TikTok, and it is where people are sharing photos of themselves with a chubby filter. This is where we're at in 2025. I am so sick of having this conversation again and again. Why is it do you people fear fatness so damn much? Okay? Why is my body, my weight, my size up for conversation all the time? Why is it your greatest nightmare to look like me? Why is fatness deemed to be the worst thing anyone could ever possibly be?
That's the one where it's like the couple you knew in high school when you come back for the reunion.
I'm getting so sick of this, and the blatant...
You're not sick of it. You're going to keep talking about this. It will never stop.
Anti-fatness in today's society. It is... it's so hurtful.
She's beside herself. And, you know, it's not that it's their worst fear. It's just that it's natural to not want to die young. Like,
I saw Camelot posted something the other day that said, like, alarming fact, all of the big body positivity influencers from 5 years ago are all dead.
They're like, she's saying in this video, why is it so horrible to you to think that you might look like me? I don't know, because I don't want to die young. Because, like, I don't want to suffer for every waking moment of my life. I want to be able to breathe properly. I don't want my joints to hurt when I walk around every day. I want to be able to, like, play with my children. I want to live a long, happy life. Like, why is that bad? I don't know. I want to look good in the clothes that I have, and I want to feel proud of myself. Like, that's why. And also, she's acting like all these people on TikTok are making fun of me. Me, I'm the victim. No, you're actually, like, not part of the conversation. They are actually using photos of themselves. It would be different if they were using photos of you to make fun of you, but they're not. They're using photos of themselves. You weren't even part of the conversation. You're inserting yourself into it to make yourself the victim of this trend.
Correct.
Is people are making self-deprecating jokes.
Correct. I don't even see the need to make it like something about their, like, wanting to live longer. It's like, maybe you just want to look a specific way and that's okay. You're allowed to do that. And they weren't talking to you specifically anyways. Most likely, every single one of these women would lie to your face and tell you you're beautiful anyways.
Yeah.
Not to say that you don't believe that, but they don't believe that, but they're going to tell you that anyways, because women will lie to you about that.
You shouldn't listen to them. This is something I've seen circulate on social media quite a few times. It's this screenshot from a post on 4chan. And you can see this photo of a random Instagram girl. They caption it, "My GF has a pouch-like pic." You can see it's circled. This girl's stomach is circled in the photo. And it doesn't seem to go away no matter how hard she hits the gym. Is surgery my only hope?
The my only hope part is crazy work.
This guy is, if this post is even real.
Yes,
right?
it sounds fake.
If this post is even real. This guy is saying that his girlfriend looks like the girl in the photo. And he is wondering if she has to get liposuction to get rid of the extra fat on her stomach.
I'm going to tell you that the reason, assuming that this is real, right, and this isn't fake, the reason that posts like this exist is because there's an absolute 500-pound gorilla of a woman somewhere saying, this is what real women look like. Women have curves. Meanwhile, she just looks like Kilimanjaro. Like, that's a thing where they exaggerate beyond all comprehension that they can justify whatever they look like at any size and say, this is just what women look like. So this is just the male counterpoint to that, where they're just taking it the whole opposite direction.
I wouldn't say it's extreme to point out that this girl is overweight, though. She's not grievously ill. Like, she's very pretty. She's also young, and, you know, she just has some extra weight. But she is overweight. She is overweight. That's fair to point out. And that's probably not what she wanted to look like at the time, because as you can see in new photos of this girl, she lost that weight and is thin now because the trend has shifted. Yeah, this is what she looks like now because the trend is toward skinny.
Wait, I'm so confused. Is this girl the girl
circled? The girl circled in that photo is the one above. Yes, in these photos. She looks less happy, but she's...
Well, yeah, she's too... Well,
thin.
To be fair, she doesn't have a glass of wine in her
She also
hands.
does not have Ozempic face. I'm willing to believe that this was natural. She doesn't look like Scott Disick.
Yes.
You know? So you can see even fat people are tired of being fat. You know, they're tired of telling themselves and everyone else that they're happy just the way they look. Yeah. Because that's obviously a lie and a cope. So what would you say? I mean... A lot of men were arguing to no end about which version of this girl is more attractive.
I mean, men arguing about this in general is kind of...
It's kind of gay, right?
Gay. Yeah.
I just think people underestimate how much of what's attractive to you depends on what's fashionable in the era in which you live.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe in the 2010s, the girl in the old photo was more fitting the beauty standard, and then in the 2020s the girl in the after photo is fitting today's beauty standard.
I mean, call me cynical, but I just tend to think that with Ozempic being as readily available as it is now, that people aren't changing their habits. They're just using medication to get thin.
Well, someone who is allegedly doing it the right way, the natural way, changing her lifestyle instead of taking Ozempic is Lizzo. And let's just forget about all of these vain concerns about how you look in a skin-tight dress. Lizzo just feels happier now.
That's what matters.
Yeah, she's talking to her fans in this video about how she was dealing with depression in the recent past, and now she has recovered from that state. And it probably has a lot to do with improving her health.
She's going to be even more unstoppable during performances because her knees probably won't hurt as much because she was already like in really good stage shape, meaning that she could dance for hours apparently at a time during her shows and not be tired, kind of like a linebacker who's in really good shape despite the fact that they look huge. You know, she's going to add years to her life with knees in better shape.
Well, in this video, I didn't know that she was still doing concerts because she announced a career hiatus, but she's opening up to her fans about dealing with depression in a concert in LA.
Yeah.
Let's pull that up.
It's 3 minutes long. Are we going to listen to the whole thing?
No.
No. Okay.
It's not on the screen.
And I named it that because about a year and a half ago, I get so hard for me to talk.
Do men benefit from the thing where you get really personal with like a million people at once? Like, I guess
We saw Shawn Mendes doing that.
Yeah.
Remember?
Well, I said men.
I was in such a dark, deep depression. I was so heartbroken by the world and so deeply hurt that I didn't want to live anymore.
She does look very different already.
And I was so deeply afraid of people that I didn't want to be seen.
What does that even mean?
You
were a performer. You were literally always seen. Is
yeah,
she talking like
I think
before
she
that?
stepped back from her career and announced this hiatus so that she could lose the weight.
Okay.
And eventually, I got over that fear, and I went to a concert, kind of like this, a little bigger. And as I was walking through the crowd to get to my spot, something miraculous happened. Somebody who I didn't know looked at me and said, "Lizzo, I love you." And they reached out, and I reached back, and we hugged, and it felt so damn good. And then it was 10 people, and then it was 100 people, then it was 1,000 people, and then it was 10,000 people showering me with love and support and
That sounds
reaching
terrifying.
out.
That would have been more meaningful if it was from like somebody in your actual life, but this is just fan adulation. It's actually unhealthy.
I think that she's also referring to what she was going through with her getting canceled.
I guess.
And the lawsuit from her backup dancers.
Well, in that case, I've been absolved of
But
my
that's the thing.
of my accused bad behavior by people who don't care.
She was getting canceled and she was getting accused of misconduct and everything. She stepped back from her career, lost a bunch of her extra weight, and suddenly public opinion of her has shifted. So if anything, she just learned how to kind of cynically manipulate people with her public image in a way that's advantageous to her.
Rand Dizzle in the chat says, "Bro, there's plenty of musicians that don't want to be seen but do want to perform. Her social media presence would make this not the point of that." What I'm saying, like, that would be somebody who
That's fair, yeah.
stays private but does their performances. She's very vocal, was always very vocal on social media, and very willing to push back on people who didn't agree with her choices. So
I do hope that eventually Lizzo is going to admit that she was wrong about body positivity, but it's not too late yet. We'll see.
We'll have to wait and see. I just feel like that wasn't the most, like, all it says is you got bombarded with adulation from 1,000 people who love you, that are fans, so they have a parasocial relationship with you. Like, that's
true.
not the same thing as loving yourself, and it's not the same thing as finding love amongst your equals or your peers.
Well, I think that there's a difference between self-indulgence and actual self-love. The term self-love is thrown around a lot by people like Lizzo, but she is correcting the record.
All right. Let us finish these super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, The Mary Mr. Fluffykins grassy knoll meme is out. I don't want to incriminate myself like this.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
I don't want to be involved in this narrative. Pop Culture Junkie said Snow White ticks Orlando empty except Saturday 7 p.m. Dolby. So it is getting seats taken? I'm confused. Is it empty or not?
It says empty except for the 7 p.m. In Orlando.
Shane H. Wilder said Daniel Radcliffe did the play Equus right after Harry Potter, where he was naked on stage and attracted to a horse.
Yes! I remember that headline.
Ew. I didn't know about that. Is that true?
I remember that headline.
But you didn't.
I didn't look at it.
You didn't look at it.
But I remember that headline.
That's disgusting. Carnell said, is it fair to ask if Magazine Dream will be a true testament to whether people can separate art from the artist, considering the film was shot prior to Major's debacle when he had goodwill in favor?
I don't think that anybody cares enough for it to need to separate art from artist. I don't think Marvel canceled him as Kang because they thought there would be backlash. I think they canceled him as Kang because nobody gave a crap.
I don't think anyone would have cared about his Oscar bait movie before or after.
Yeah.
Zach Yandel.
The whole point of the discussions they've had recently was that, like, increasingly every year, more and more of the Oscars are attributed to movies that nobody gives a crap about or goes to see.
Which allegedly is Harvey Weinstein's fault.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that
according
at some
to Joe
point.
Russo. Zach Yandel said, I have a question about reviewing movies. Is it okay if I only review movies I'm excited for and review trailers to inform the audience what I will watch?
You can do whatever the hell you want, bro.
Why are you asking us what's okay?
Like, you do not have to ask anyone
You don't need
for
our permission.
anything. It says, if I only do reviews that I'm excited for. First of all, if the idea here is like, there's two approaches to this, right? Some people like to do the reviews where they know they're going to review cringe that people will click on. And that's a valid strategy. People love watching reviews of movies getting dunked on. Or you somebody who goes into movies with genuine interest and you're going to be way more excited to review things that you actually want to go see. Now, that could make for great content either way. Either you're really excited to go see a movie, it lives up to expectations, then you get to tell everyone about it. Or you're really excited to see a movie, you go see it and you hate it. And then you can dunk on it because it ended up being awful. Or even if it ends up somewhere in the middle, at least you made something that you actually wanted to go do. Don't strain yourself or force yourself to go see something that you don't want to. Like I said, Mary is dragging me to Snow White. Normally I wouldn't review Snow White, but you know, 'tis our job.
We have a 20 from Brian Sanchez. Shout out to Brett. I saw him post a video of him grinding on a rail on skates. I had no idea you could do that, Brett. Shout out to Mary too.
Thank you. Yes. I try to get out and skate 3 to 4 times a week. It's good stuff. I've been going back and reposting like clips from the last couple of years to put stuff out daily. So I put a different skating clip out every day. If you go to my Instagram, there will be nothing in the way of Hollywood. It's all like memes and skating stuff.
Arsenal Man said her entire gimmick is, look at me, I'm a whore now. Yeah, kind of. High Voltage 75 said, what would pop music be like in Mary's dictatorship?
Do tell.
I did a bit of a deep dive into what K-pop looks like in North Korea. And I would imagine it's something like that in Mary's dictatorship. I like the version, the weird bizarro world version of pop music that they make in North Korea.
I'm trying. Okay, I got a question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who is a band active right now that would thrive in a North Korean dictatorship that allowed pop music? You know who I think it would be?
What?
Benson. Like if North Korea would have like their own pop music scene and they let
a band or a person?
Yes, either or. A pop artist.
Because you said a band.
Either or. Band or solo artist.
Bands are a thing of the past. Phil even said that the
Benson
other day.
Boone would thrive in North Korea.
Yes. That's an obvious one. Benson Boone, 100% would thrive as a North Korean pop star in captivity. But any of the K-pop groups, really, they are already raised in concentration camps and trained for years in boot camps before they're even debuted on the public stage. So any of the K-pop groups, any of the K-pop artists, and Benson Boone, and Imagine Dragons.
The Score and Imagine Dragons, all
Yeah.
of those bands that they're these weird amalgamations of themselves.
Harry Styles. No, not Harry
No.
Styles. No. I had it wrong.
One of the Jonas Brothers solo, but not the group.
Yes. They
Who's
would
the
pick
least
up
popular?
Kevin.
Who's the least popular
Kevin.
Jonas Brother? Is he the least? He would thrive in North Korea.
Kevin Jonas could have a huge career renaissance in North Korea.
You know, I was gonna make a Liam Payne joke, but I'm not gonna do it. Never mind.
Yeah, no. We're going to stay away from that. Shane H. Wilder said the only one of the modern Disney chicks you never hear about other than shows she's on is Peyton List. I'm curious as to what she did right.
Went to
Yeah,
acting
she's on a better
and-
path.
Yeah. And she's in an industry where there's 2 Peyton Lists.
Well, she's the more...
But I'm saying there's 2 of them.
She's the way more famous of the 2 of them, to be fair. But yeah, that is
I mean, that's something they must be spelled differently because it's not supposed to be allowed via SAG rules. They're not supposed to be able to have the same.
That's stupid.
No, it makes perfect sense. You don't want to be like it hurts your visibility if you have the same
But it's
name.
just your government name.
No,
Like,
I mean,
you can't
because so
change
many of
it.
them are stage names. Like they end up having to have a stage name.
Well, they shouldn't have to force you to do that.
They
Like, that
gotta
doesn't
do it.
seem fair. They can't force you to change your government name.
Is it Peyton with an E?
With an E, yes.
Yeah, there's 2 Peyton Lists with an E.
Right, but she's the way more famous one. The one who's in Cobra Kai, right?
Yeah. So there's this one,
Am I wrong?
and then there's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Cobra Kai one.
Isn't she in Cobra Kai, or am I getting it
Yes,
mixed
no,
up?
it is. It's
Yeah.
Tori from Cobra Kai.
She's
So
way more famous.
there's that, and she's also she's the younger one too. It looks like. So.
I had never even heard of a different Peyton List.
Yep, 2
so
Peyton Lists.
I don't know. Pop Culture Junkie said, is Sabrina Carpenter now an industry plant? We both think that they're all industry plants, so to some degree, yes.
I mean, that makes it sound like there's somebody who just showed up one day and the industry's like, "Hey, how the fuck did you get here?" Like, I just showed up. They're all industry plants in some fashion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, her career finally taking off after years is an industry-approved development. Greg Duvier said Corey and Topanga failed as parents. Yeah. Badump Bash. Oh, already read that one. Shane H. Wilder said linebacker, press X to doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arsenal Man said the only position he plays is on his knees. Okay, we're not gonna go there.
That was rude.
Do you want to move on to the last topic now?
Let's do it.
Yeah. There is this new trend where women identify as stay-at-home girlfriends. These are the same things as stay-at-home mothers, except they have all of the luxuries and none of the responsibilities involved. Let's think about the day in a life of a stay-at-home girlfriend. You wake up and you make your boyfriend pancakes, and then he goes off to work, and then you go to your Pilates class, and then you go get a facial, and then you go get coffee, and then you hit a lunch spot with your girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back home, and maybe you do some light housework for maybe 30 minutes. Because, of course, you have no children to
Yes.
take care of and no messes to
Did they
clean up.
Did they ever indicate
And
whether
then-
children are out of the question? Or
The
is it
children
just-
are out of the question.
Okay.
That's the point. That's the entire point. And then after you do like maybe 30 minutes of housework, you basically
Work out again.
maybe you go back to Pilates again, and then you dress up because you have date night later on that day. Of course, it's a very busy schedule for your average stay-at-home girlfriend, and these women are promoting their easy, stress-free lifestyles on TikTok and telling other women this is the way to go.
Okay.
One of them is named Kendall K, and she posted a TikTok about her stay-at-home girlfriend life, captioned, "People used to ask me, what's your dream job? I never knew the answer. I realized it's because I don't dream of labor. I dream of living a soft, feminine life and being a hot housewife. It's as simple as that."
Can I ask you what? Because Because we see these so much. What does soft got to do with it? Can you explain?
We're talking about entering their soft girl era.
Yeah, do you want to explain? You kind of laughed when I mentioned that earlier. Do you want to explain to people what soft girl era means?
Women talking about entering their soft girl era are pushing back on millennial girl boss culture, which glorifies having a high pressure career and dedicating yourself to work.
Is there like a middle ground we're going to end up at some point here?
Can we just be human beings with different facets of ourselves
instead
of being some one-note archetype?
Everything has to be a trend or an era.
Yeah, I kind of hate it.
I can't be in my middle of the road era. That doesn't sell.
So one of these self-described stay-at-home girlfriends says that her boyfriend has spent $1.25 million funding her lifestyle just since they began dating 3 years ago. She is 25, she was working as a fashion student in Paris when she received an Instagram message from the man who would become her boyfriend. Soon after, her suitor went to Paris to meet her in person and has been financially supporting her ever since. She says, "Every expense is on him. I never have to worry about anything. I live a stress-free life." They spend their time traveling from country to country and staying in lavish hotels. Her boyfriend is a New Yorker who works in the tech sector, so he can afford to fund her lavish lifestyle and, in fact, prefers to do so without making any long-term commitment of engagement, marriage, or family. Yeah. And I just see an arrangement like this, and I think everyone involved is losing. It's a lose-lose situation for both parties.
So let's start with the man. How is he losing?
Well, because he's not furthering his progeny. Correct. He doesn't care about making any permanent mark on this world.
Did they mention how old he is?
She is 25, he is 34, according to this one example. But there are lots of different... It usually would involve an age gap.
I guess the argument I would make for him is like he has more time to FAFO than she does. If the idea is that she's going to one day wake up and realize she does want a family and kids.
That gap in time to FAFO is overstated, though. Mm-hmm. I would say he's not growing up to his actual age. He's not as mature as someone his age should be if he's not ready to start a family.
But they compensate. He overcompensates with his success.
Yeah,
his financial success overcompensates for the fact that he's not ready to settle down.
So he's kind of just dilly-dallying, and he's also simping for her, pouring money into keeping her because he doesn't believe that he has anything else to offer.
That's crazy too. Look,
shows zero self-respect on his part.
On its face, in the chat, they mentioned he's avoiding child support or, I guess, avoiding alimony if they get divorced, right?
By spending $1.25 million. He's saving a lot really money, guys. This is financially intelligent.
Depending on what he's worth, that is saving money. If he's worth $10 million and he loses $5 because they get divorced and she takes half, that's different. But again, I guess the point wouldn't be to criticize the pragmatic nature of what they're doing. The idea is to talk about whether it's good for society for us to even avoid the idea of family and marriage and kids.
Because none of it means anything. Let's just go to Dubai. You know, like that's the whole point of a relationship like this, is never thinking into the future, only living in the moment for your own pleasure.
And if he was looking for those
your own
things,
status seeking.
And if he was looking for those things, he wouldn't be looking for this woman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're both looking to each other to use each other as status symbols. Yeah. He uses her as a status symbol. She uses him as a status symbol. This is not a relationship that's built on anything meaningful or long-lasting, and it naturally comes with an expiration date, which brings me to the way that this does a disservice to the women involved in these arrangements. The stay-at-home girlfriends are setting themselves up for failure inevitably once this relationship ends. Can you imagine?
He can rotate her out.
Exactly.
That's, cynically speaking, that there is an infinite world of 26-year-olds in their soft girl era that he can just he can basically lease her for a couple of years and then trade her up for the newer model.
Exactly. So basically, once the breakup happens, which it likely will, since you haven't built your relationship on anything that means anything and you don't care about each other and he doesn't care about you, when that happens, then you're effed.
Yeah.
Unless you can find the next sucker who will do the same thing for you, which is unlikely.
And that gets even harder for her.
And even that's unfulfilling.
If all she's offering is what she's offering now, that becomes less appealing to this type of guy once they pass a certain age. When really what she should be doing is looking for a guy of regular means who wants to settle down, who wants to get married, who wants to have kids and spend a lifetime together. I know that sounds unbelievably what would be the term? Unrealistic in today's day and age. I believe you me. Yes, you can. You can find that.
That is possible. It's also possible for women like this to find men of above average means who want commitment too. Like, that's also possible for them. Like, they don't understand that the world is their oyster, but they don't want that. I think it's very important to recognize these stay-at-home girlfriends do not want to have children. They are living in a way completely antithetical to family. They do not want to start families because they would prefer to continue living for themselves. They would prefer to spend most of their time dedicated to making themselves look more beautiful and thinking about themselves and doing vapid things, consuming things, buying, you know,
when I see this type of
scrolling,
woman, these women are the biggest red flag. These types of desire for worldly possessions and vapid self-obsession.
But I'm saying this is just not in their best interest. If they are really interested in doing what's best for them, it's not this. This is a slippery slope, and it can go to a very dangerous place. Not just about the breakup. I have thought about this before. Like, I would never give a man I'm not married to that much power over me. Yeah. That is a very dangerous spot to be in. It's a very vulnerable spot to be in that you don't want to put yourself in that place. If you're counting on a man who has no commitment to you to provide everything for you, down to the food on your plate, he can take it away at any moment. So you're completely at his mercy.
And what happened was...
It's funny because they say that the people with these traditional worldviews are not looking out for the interests of women. No, the point of those previous traditional mores was to look out for the safety and interests of women. In these non-traditional arrangements, women are totally adrift. They're completely at men's mercy. This is not empowering at all. This is the opposite of that.
So it's we lived in an era where feminism at one point criticized women who got married young, had kids, maybe didn't go to college. So if they got divorced, they suddenly were out in the world without any real world experience or any way to provide for themselves. That was responded by feminists with the girl boss era, where you're supposed to don't need no man, you know, go be the CEO or whatever nonsense that 99% of the people never achieve anyways. Go, you know, ignore all of human biological history so that you can make 60 grand a year making PowerPoint presentations was always the joke. And then the reaction to the overcorrection now is the other overcorrection the other way, but with modernity like shoved into it without really taking into account what it might affect you if you don't think that far ahead. It's also a side effect of just being young and stupid and not thinking more than one step ahead in life. And I'm not saying young as in like they're not 19 or 20, but when you're 23 or 24 or something like that, you're not thinking ahead, then somebody hasn't trained you to think more than one step. You're like, either your parents didn't teach it to you, you didn't learn it in school, but you have to have more on your plate than just hoping that this one person can give you everything that you want. And it's a weird way in which we seem to push our social connections in every direction except for what seemed to work from every generation prior to like the Industrial Revolution and when women entered the workforce. Like there was like a sweet spot, I guess, in the 90s and the early 2000s where like the movies and the television shows, like, okay, for instance, like we're watching Blue Bloods together. And there's a whole storyline about Linda. Danny's one of the main characters. He's a cop. They have 2 kids, and the storyline's about her going back to work. And they actually talk about it where her sister-in-law, his sister, also was married and now is divorced. And one of the things that caused their divorce was her eagerness to go back to work, or at least how he perceived her eagerness to go back to work, because she's a lawyer, whatever. She obviously spent a lot of time learning her profession. And Linda's a nurse, and they make a point to make a story about the strain it can put on a marriage to talk about going back to the office after having kids. Like, we don't even have that step anymore. Yeah. It's like you either have all of it this direction or all of it that direction. And this is not the real world. The real world is not this. Mm-hmm. The real world for 90% of people is not that you're going to be a tech bro who can just have whatever woman you want and just pay her to look pretty and take up space in the house. The reality is most of the time, you're both going to have jobs. You're going to have careers. You're going to have to balance it and figure out how to make it work if you want a family. And that's something you have to embark on together once you get married. But that's a harder conversation and less glamorous than saying, I'm in insert this era here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reality of it is far more complicated than that. Exactly. And far more dangerous than that. And the pitfalls are being ignored in favor of these glittery videos that glamorize this type of lifestyle. I wanted to show this TikTok from Laura Henshaw where she is describing the risks you're taking, the huge gamble you're taking to be that stay-at-home girlfriend.
Stay-at-home girlfriend trend on TikTok. It may look really glamorous, but it is actually really dangerous. This trend is where one partner in a relationship with no children stays home and their job is to look after the partner that goes to work. This is really dangerous because it means that the person who stays home is very likely to have zero financial independence. Having zero financial independence in a relationship is one of the key contributors to financial abuse. If you don't have financial independence, it means that if you are in an abusive relationship or a relationship where you are not happy, it is very hard for you to leave because you don't have any money. We need money to be able to live. The number of homeless women in Australia is increasing every year. One of the key contributors to this is because women are staying home, they aren't able to build up the skills to be able to get a job, get education, build up their career, they don't get super, so then when the relationship does break down, they don't have anything to support them. Education and building up skills is power, and don't forget how important it is.
So the question of abuse aside, the question of whether abuse is a possibility completely aside, let's just think about more ordinary circumstances. What if you just turn out to not like this person anymore? Mm-hmm. Like, what if you don't want to be in this relationship anymore, and then you find out that you've tied yourself to this person in a way that it becomes almost impossible to untangle your lives? How about that?
Cope. What happens is, like, you have to trick yourself. You end up tricking yourself into believing you're happier than you are.
So, like, aside from, like, let's say you're not getting abused in this relationship. You just don't want to be in this relationship. You don't like this person. You don't see yourself with this person for the rest of your life. You're going to start telling yourself that all of the problems aren't there because you financially have no choice but to stay with them, or at least it seems like an insurmountable challenge to leave. I
will say that I think we're not giving the industrious nature of some of these women enough credit. I would guess. Now, I'm not trying to besmirch anyone's honor, but if a woman willing to enter into a transactional relationship such as this decides it might be time to leave, she might start looking for prospects elsewhere while still being in the comfort of that situation. Dare I say?
Who wants the headache of keeping secrets, of maneuvering things? I mean, we were talking about this before the show. The stereotype about this woman, this sugar baby, you know, getting this expensive fur coat and then returning it for cash and squirreling that away in some kind of nest egg for when she wants to leave. Who can really survive like living like that with secrets? No one really wants to live that way. It's not a recipe for happiness and fulfillment.
Happiness, no. Are they built for it? Yes. Human beings can put up with just about anything if they talk themselves into it. Will they be happy? Probably not.
I would say it's not the best idea.
No,
for
not
them.
a good idea, but I'm saying that the human brain is capable of withstanding a lot and making excuses.
I'm saying it's not worth it.
No, it's not.
It's not worth the trade-offs.
No.
It really isn't. And I'll also say, because age gaps are nearly built into this arrangement, the reason that people are kind of icked out by age gaps, even the ones that seem quite insignificant, is not the fact that they think that someone's getting victimized or something. Like, no, usually nobody thinks like some girl in her early 20s is like getting victimized in some way.
Okay.
It's the fact that usually you can look at a relationship like that where this girl in her 20s is with like some guy in his 40s, 50s, whatever. And you can see that the relationship just doesn't mean anything to either of them. And that's gross.
Or they mean vastly different things that are very surface level. He's getting what he wants.
It's inherently surface level. It's inherently transactional. And people find that distasteful to just put on display for everyone to see.
Yeah, I sent you that picture the other day
of like low class.
Of Bill Belichick with his 24-year-old girlfriend, and he's like, they're doing like yoga poses. And I'm like, you just know that he's like, my knees hurt right now, but fine.
Yeah. It's low class, in my opinion, because you can tell that it's a completely transactional relationship that they have, and everyone has a sense that, you know, you ought to base your bond off of something deeper than that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank goodness I'm getting married in 6 months, and I never got to worry about any of this shit.
That's great. But let's finish up reading.
Let's do it.
Andrew Canoy said, that was me getting ready for a Mighty Drunks game.
Yeah.
Love that for you. Scotty Mitz said, gonna miss tomorrow. It's my anniversary. Diabetic. I've lost 140 pounds on Ozempic and keto. Been hitting the gym. Still want to lose another 70 pounds.
Let's go. Stay
Congrats
in shape.
on your weight
Keep
loss.
working out.
Shane H. Wilder said, I had to clip y'all doing Yakety Sax, the cartoon songs. I don't know what I'll use it for yet, but it will make good foley for something. LMAO. Olvin McGoth said, you can beat me, Mary, and I'd stay. Okay, I wouldn't do that.
That was the most romantic thing I've ever read.
Omega Red Fan said, by my mid-20s, the Marvel comedy just didn't click. I must be out of touch.
You're not out of touch. The problem was with the Marvel comedy is that it was based around this great personality that Tony Stark embodies from Iron Man that works when Robert Downey Jr. is doing it. But not everybody can do that humor. The movies, paradoxically, needed to have that fresh off the factory line feel, but at the same time, they struggled from it also, because then they fall into the same traps and everything starts to kind of feel the same, even though it's not necessarily true. I don't watch Doctor Strange and think it's the same as Iron Man, but like when I hear the joke about the Wi-Fi password, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Cesario JPN said, X, Harry Sisson involved in major scandal with 11 women. Me. Harry Sisson is straight? Really? Is he involved in some kind of Me Too?
I don't know about that, but he posted like a picture with a girl.
I don't know if it has to do with that.
At least I think it was a girl, because the face was turned away.
DCNC said, use the fat filter so we can all laugh together. I would, but I don't have TikTok, unfortunately. Brian
Plus,
Bledsoe,
like I said, it wouldn't do anything to me. I would just come out looking the same.
We'll get the skinny filter. Brian Bledsoe said Barack might beat Michelle in basketball.
Maybe, but definitely not in like power slap or MMA or anything like that. Have you ever seen that picture where they're walking inside and her shoulders are just like massive?
No.
You just know that she's just like past the school lunch reform.
Shane H. Wilder said, I just don't want to die of a heart attack with a blood type of pudding. Yeah, and you're valid for that. Yeah. DCNC said merch idea, all dressed packing peanuts. It's a bit of a deep cut.
I like it.
But I would rather actually just eat those. I'm Clifford today said, I usually catch episodes on audio the day after while I'm driving for work. Just wanted to say that I love the show, but Brett, wanted you to know that I will no longer stand for the Bob Dylan hate. I mean, I guess that's just
Look.
It's a line in the sand
That's
right
a
there.
line
Like
in
you're
the
not
sand.
gonna.
I'm not going
You're
to
not gonna
change my
change.
position. You're not going to change. You know, there's kind of the meme of like, if you don't like it, don't watch. I don't want to tell you not to watch. I want you to watch. But the Bob Dylan hate isn't going anywhere. If I wanted to listen to somebody warble, I would listen to myself.
Love the word warble.
Yeah.
Robert said, Mary, your yes or no episode was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for watching that. I'm Clifford today said also wanted to pay for a shout out to my channel if that's okay. I talk about everything having to do with Christian music and that industry.
Cool. Is the name of the channel Clifford Today?
I guess.
Guys, go check it out.
Shout out.
That's awesome.
I didn't know that Christian music was popping like that. Stefan Buttle said Chinese mistress villages, toes of 50K mistress. What?
I don't know what that was in relation to.
I have no idea either. Shane H. Wilder said, a stay-at-home GF, so a wife without any of the commitment or responsibilities that it entails. Red flag for both the man and woman.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Agreed.
Samir Navarre said, why would the Jonas Brothers not survive in North Korea?
No,
No, they would need to just get one of the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
Just one.
The least popular.
The least popular one. You know, it's sort of like how Drake Bell randomly got really famous in Mexico.
They did like a Bones episode about a guy who gets really big in one country and his label is like this one lady and she screws him out of all the money. And it's just like, it's like this guy who makes country music. Like he's really big in Guam or something. I don't remember what country it was.
Smoke Daddy 00 said, can we get Mary and Melanie Mack in the same room together?
Maybe someday.
Maybe.
Maybe someday. All right. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Please remember, liking the video helps us in the algorithm, so please go ahead and like it. And remember, again, tomorrow, episode 800, not 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Eastern. We will be live 2 to 5. There will be a rotation of guests. It's going to be a lot of fun, so that we want you guys to join us to celebrate 800 damn episodes of this show.
Damn episodes.
It's a damn big accomplishment. Damn twice in one
It's
one
something to
sentence.
be proud of, for
So
sure.
guys, I want to thank you guys ahead of time for joining us and for being part of the show. A lot of you guys have been here since if not the beginning, pretty darn close. So thank you guys all so much for that. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard
We will
Time,
see
episode 800. Mary, where can they find you?
Yes, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, at Brett Dasovic on Instagram and on Twix. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That also helps the show out a lot. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Remember, guys, episode 800 tomorrow, 2 p.m. We will see you all there then. One more super chat from Shane H. Wilder.
Shane H. Wilder says, I had a Bob Dylan documentary pop up after PCC last week. My 800 video will drop at 7:15 Central tomorrow.
Okay.
And they really want you to end the poll, by the way. Zach Yandel said, thank you for the advice. It was very helpfully helpful.
Okay. Cool.
I hope it was helpful.
We have ended
Well,
the
our
poll.
advice was like, don't listen to us, basically. Yeah. What do they say?
Anti.
Everyone is
Anti-Ozempic.
anti-Ozempic.
All right, guys, 2 p.m. tomorrow, episode 800. We will see you there. Later, everybody.
Bye.